Welcome to Cold Case Files, where we unravel the mysteries of the deep. It's been given many names: broadbill, emperor, gladiator. While the ocean teems with predators constantly vying for survival, the swordfish consistently reigns supreme. Its Latin name, Ziphius gladius, derives from both Latin and Greek words for sword, meaning its name is literally sword, sword. For thousands of years, we assumed this weapon was used exactly as its name suggests. With a 0.9-meter-long sharpened blade attached to its face, it only seemed logical that it would stab its prey. But recently, scientists have made a surprising discovery. A swordfish that attempts to stab its prey is actually the one most likely to perish. If you spear an animal, not only does your blade get stuck, but so does the rest of your face. Yet somehow, there's evidence of swordfish killing entire tuna, barracuda, and even giant squids. What's more, these swords aren't indestructible, they're bone. If a swordfish stabs massive prey and that prey twists or dives, the sword can, and often will, snap. A swordfish without its sword is just a fish, a severely disadvantaged one, lacking hydrodynamics, balance, and defense. For millions of years, evolution has honed a weapon that, if used in the manner we once believed, would lead to certain death for its wielder. This raises a massive question. If the sword isn't a sword, then what exactly is it? Why would a creature bother with something so extravagant, yet seemingly impractical on its face? And how have these animals, despite this paradox, still become apex predators? To uncover what's truly happening, we need to take a closer look at the swordfish itself. When most people spot a fish with a long, pointy nose, they immediately think of a marlin or a sailfish, lumping them all into a group called billfish. While they appear similar on the surface, scientifically speaking, the swordfish is not closely related to them at all. Marlins and sailfish belong to the family Istiophoridae, but the swordfish is the sole member of the family Ziphiidae. So, how do they actually kill their prey? People assume they swim around stabbing their prey. It makes sense, right? You have a giant spike, you stab things with it. But they don't. If you spear a massive fish underwater, you become physically tethered to a thrashing, panicked animal that could weigh 45 kilograms. Your weapon is stuck and you lose all your speed. In the open ocean, losing your speed is a death sentence. Instead, they whack it. They accelerate directly into a school of squid or mackerel at highway speeds and violently thrash their head from side to side, transforming that rigid bill into a massive, blunt force bat and a razor-sharp slashing blade. They aren't trying to stab food like a kebab, they're trying to shatter it, much like a baseball bat. They break spines, stun prey, and leave a trail of severely disabled victims in the water, which they can then casually turn around and consume. Their sword isn't sharp like a knife, but it is narrow. When moving at such high speeds, that much force on a still somewhat narrow edge will slash fish open. It's like cutting a fish with a metal ruler. Swing it hard and fast enough, and it will still slice. To eat this immobile or completely dead prey, you might expect an apex predator to have massive jaws and teeth. When a swordfish is born, that is precisely what it possesses. Baby swordfish hatch with regular scales covering their bodies and a mouthful of sharp, aggressive teeth. But the moment they reach adulthood, they lose them all. Every single tooth falls out. Every scale on their body disappears. Most animals in nature gain weapons and armor as they grow, but for swordfish, so shedding them allows the swordfish to swing its sword even faster, which translates to better diced fish. This is quite remarkable. Yet, this strategy still seems counterintuitive. Swinging is rarely seen as a hunting tactic in marine life because it generally doesn't work well underwater. Imagine trying to swing a bat in a swimming pool versus in the air. Water creates immense drag, making it incredibly difficult to hit anything hard, let alone fast enough to slice it. A swordfish, by attempting such powerful whips, should theoretically snap its own neck. Fortunately for swordfish, and unfortunately for everything else, most of their power originates from their body and tail, not their neck. But the biggest reason for their success isn't just that, or even their streamlined bodies. It's simply their immense size. These are not sleek, graceful, elegant, skinny fish. They are beasts weighing up to 450 kilograms, far bigger and much heavier than you. Being so large and possessing that much muscle is what allows them to cut other fish simply by being a formidable force. However, swordfish are not like whales. Just because they grow large doesn't mean they're designed to only eat plankton. They are clearly built for speed and aggression. So, what do they fight? Well, among their prey are giant squids. While sperm whales are often highlighted for hunting these colossal cephalopods, swordfish do too. A swordfish can weigh 450 kilograms, while giant squids are around 227 kilograms. Even with this size advantage, the fight isn't as one-sided as it is with sperm whales. Swordfish typically target smaller giant squids to effectively hunt and kill them, ensuring they don't sustain massive injuries themselves. Giant squids live thousands of meters deep, giving them a significant advantage in battle. But fortunately, swordfish have their sword. When a squid extends its massive tentacles to ensnare an intruder, the swordfish violently whips its entire torso, transferring 450 kilograms of kinetic force directly into the sharp edges of its bill. They don't try to stab the squid's core. Instead, they systematically sever its weapons. They slash directly through the tentacles, completely disarming the massive squid in the dark depths. They use sheer brute force to physically amputate the squid's only means of defense and offense. Once its arms are gone, the squid is utterly helpless. The swordfish then casually circles back, scoops up the severed tentacles, and consumes the rest of the disabled body. In battles like these, a swordfish can still lose. Sperm whales weigh 22,680 kilograms compared to a giant squid's 227 kilograms, a hundredfold weight difference. With swordfish, the difference is only about twofold. You hear about sperm whales more often because they can ensure victory in over 95% of their encounters against giant squids. Swordfish, however, must be more opportunistic. We still lack footage of these deep-sea battles, so most of our understanding comes from speculation based on evidence like tentacle scars found on swordfish bodies. Baby swordfish are born barely a few millimeters long, entirely transparent, and certainly without a giant sword. If they are to survive long enough to reach 450 kilograms, they must outgrow everything that wants to eat them, and they must do it instantly. A swordfish grows faster than almost any other vertebrate on the planet. From the moment they hatch, their entire biological directive is simply eating. They start by consuming tiny plankton, then tiny fish, then medium fish, scaling up their diet every single day until they can eventually tackle giant squids. Grow huge immediately or die. That's their imperative. Even at 4 years of age, they will be essentially fully adult size, a growth rate far exceeding human development, especially considering we begin relatively large as babies. This intense, rapid growth is what makes them profoundly aggressive. When you are forced to grow that big and that fast, you must be aggressive. You must eat everything. Everything in the ocean is either food or an obstacle. There are verified, documented instances of swordfish attacking things that make absolutely no logical sense. They have charged and rammed deep-sea submersibles thousands of meters below the surface. They have been recorded aggressively attacking massive, multi-ton oil drilling rigs. They have slammed into the hulls of steel boats with such force that they snap their own swords off in the metal. They will charge and ram solid steel at full speed. Most animals operate on a very normal risk assessment system. If something is larger than you, made of metal, and making loud mechanical noises, you swim away from it. It's basic survival. The swordfish completely ignores this. That aggression from birth makes it seem as if it's always in a state of pure madness. If a submersible drops into their hunting ground with bright lights and loud thrusters, the swordfish simply gets angry. They will hurl their 450-kilogram bodies at industrial machinery purely out of territorial rage. They are so hardwired for absolute dominance that the concept of fear simply does not exist in their neural pathways. Unfortunately, this kind of aggression means they lead a more or less lonely life. If swordfish traveled in large groups, they would completely eradicate entire ecosystems in a matter of days. Outside of brief moments of reproduction, you will almost never find adult swordfish traveling, hunting, or living anywhere near each other. They actively avoid their own kind. The ocean simply cannot support more than one of them in an area. If two adult swordfish decide to hunt in the exact same zone, they will deplete that zone of life. There are not enough squid, not enough mackerel, and not enough energy in a single patch of the open ocean to fuel two of these creatures simultaneously. Even if they wanted to cooperate, their biology prevents it. If another swordfish is nearby, it is stealing your calories. It is threatening you. And considering swordfish feel threatened by a wall of steel, they won't take kindly to someone actually stealing their food. So, what actually kills them? As mentioned, they are apex predators. Essentially, adult swordfish don't really get hunted. They aren't chased down by sharks, and they rarely fall victim to killer whales unless there's intentional coordination from a pod to prevent their escape. What does kill them are microscopic parasites or sheer exhaustion. The ocean is entirely filled with microscopic worms, parasitic copepods, and other nasty organisms. Swordfish are notorious for carrying massive loads of highly specialized parasites that latch onto their gills and feed directly off their internal organs. Because the swordfish is constantly burning thousands of calories to stay warm and swim fast, it exists on a precarious line. If parasites compromise their gills, their oxygen intake drops. If their oxygen drops, they can't swim fast. If they can't swim fast, they can't catch food, and then they die. Living in a constant state of hyperaggression, extreme temperature shifts, and massive caloric burn eventually degrades their bodies. Most swordfish, especially males, barely live 10 years. Nature always balances the scales, and when you are an animal this formidable and magnificent, it's going to cost you something. But at least they get to live a truly wild, solitary, and intense life.